Good afternoon. Respected Father, shall we begin the session with your permission?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Honorable dignitaries and dear participants, greetings of the day and a warm welcome to you all to the inaugural ceremony of the International Faculty Development Program on Navigating the Future, Innovations and Strategies in Teaching and Research, organized by the Department of English, Christu Jayanti College, Autonomous, Bengaluru. Before we begin, let us take a moment of silence to center our thoughts and offer gratitude for the opportunity to come together in the pursuit of knowledge and growth. Let us observe a silent prayer for a minute. Thank you all. Dear participants, it is with great joy and sense of pride that I open today's inaugural session by offering a brief introduction to the college that stands at the heart of our journey. Christu Jayanti College, Autonomous, Bengaluru is a beacon of academic excellence and innovation, consistently ranked among the top institutions in India. In the year 2024, our college has achieved the 60th rank in the NIRF Top 100 Colleges in India. With international accreditation from ACBSP USA and the prestigious DBT Star College status, we continue to set benchmarks in education. Our commitment to holistic development is reflected in our national accolades, including the Clean and Smart Campus Award and top rankings in various academic disciplines. At Christu Jayanti College, we believe in empowering minds and shaping the future of education. We are gathered here today in this virtual space, bringing together experts, educators, research scholars, and enthusiasts to share and learn. It's my pleasure to invite Professor Jerry Jose, the UG Coordinator, Department of English, Christu Jayanti College, to deliver the welcome address.
Good afternoon, everyone. We find ourselves at a moment of profound transformation in the way literature is taught, studied, and interpreted. The rapidly evolving landscape of technology, globalization, and interdisciplinary approaches challenge us to rethink traditional paradigms while embracing new methodologies and tools. In order to bring unique perspectives and insight in the field of teaching and research, the Department of English, Christu Jayanti College, organizes an international faculty development program on navigating the future, innovations and strategies in teaching and research. It offers a valuable opportunity to reflect on how we can innovate our teaching methods, expand our research horizons, and adapt to the evolving demands of the literary world. Today marks the beginning of an enriching journey dedicated to professional and personal growth. This initiative is vital to fostering excellence in teaching, research, and leadership. It's my privilege to welcome one and all to this year's International Faculty Development Program. First of all, I'm indeed honored to welcome Reverend Dr. Lijo P. Thomas, Vice Principal and Chief Finance Officer, Christu Jayanti College. Through his visionary thinking and courage to translate dreams into reality, Father has been dynamically directing our college to greater heights each day. On behalf of the Department of English, I extend a hearty welcome to you, Father. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Dr. Zachariah Matthew, Director for Global Engagement and Senior International Officer, University of Michigan, United States, who has joined us for the inaugural session. Hearty welcome, dear sir. I would like to welcome our resource person for the day, Dr. Sapna V. Thwaite, Vice Provost for Academic Affairs and Professor of Education, University of Michigan, Flint. We welcome you, ma'am. I would like to welcome Dr. Gopakumar Reddy, Dean, Faculty of Humanities, whose presence, encouragement, and guidance has resulted in conducting various events in our departments. We welcome you, dear sir. A warm welcome to Father Joshi Matthew, Director, HR Office, and Head Department of English. Father is a pillar of support and constant source of motivation for all of us in organizing activities in the department. Hearty welcome, Father. I extend a warm welcome to Dr. Laila Thomas, Program Coordinator, PG, Department of English, for her support in organizing this event. Welcome, ma'am. Our resource persons are the key to the success of this FTP. I am privileged to welcome our international and national speakers of our FTP to this inaugural session. I would like to welcome the faculty members and research scholars who joined today in order to learn and share and grow together. Hearty welcome, dear participants. I welcome Dr. Mary Reimer, Dr. Brighton, Dr. Nishita, and Dr. Vidyavati, the faculty coordinators of this event, and all the other faculty members of the Department of English. Hearty welcome, teachers. As we embark on this journey together, we will explore emerging strategies in literary research and pedagogy, which respond to the complexities of our time. Thank you for being a part of this meaningful journey. I wish you all a productive week ahead. Thank you.
Professor Jerin Jose has been a driving force in shaping the undergraduate experience in our department. His enthusiasm for teaching and mentoring has had a lasting impact on both students and colleagues alike. On behalf of the FTP coordinators and Department of English, I extend a warm welcome to you, sir. The first responsibility of a leader is to define reality, said Max D. Pree. Here we have one such leader, the head of the Department of English and director of the Human Resource Development Center, Reverend Father Joshi Matthew, to take us through the concept node of FTP. Reverend Father Joshi Matthew has been a strong front runner of our department, always encouraging new ideas and initiatives. His passion for academic growth and innovation is truly inspiring to everyone who works with him. Father, over to you.
Most respected chief guest of the day, Father Dr. Lijopi Thomas, our Vice Principal and the CFO of Christu Jayanti Group of Institutions. Respected Dr. Gobaguma Revi, our Dean. Dr. Zachariah Matthew, the Director of Global Engagement and International Officer, Michigan Flint. Respected resource persons, especially the resource person of the day, Dr. Sapna, Thwaite. Coordinators of the department, Dr. Leola Thomas and Professor Jerin Jose. FTP coordinators, participants, and faculty members. It's a pleasant privilege to introduce you all to the concept note of this International Faculty Development Program on navigating the future, innovations and strategies in teaching and research. In today's fast-paced and ever-evolving world, education must continuously innovate and adapt. This FDP is designed precisely for that purpose, to empower educators and researchers with cutting-edge strategies to enhance teaching and research in this dynamic and academic landscape. As we stand at the intersection of rapid technological advancements and shifting educational paradigms, the urgency to embrace innovative approaches in both teaching and research has never been greater. Over the coming years, we will explore a range of forward-thinking pedagogical frameworks, especially with these FDP days, including competency-based education, hybrid or high-flex learning, inclusive pedagogies, and the growing integration of artificial intelligence in education. These sessions will not only help us adapt to these changes and impactful learning experiences for our student community. The program has two key objectives. First of all, to equip educators with the tools to foster critical thinking, creativity, and inclusivity in their classrooms. And of course, secondly, to explore advanced research methodologies that will push the boundaries of academic scholarship. Together, we will engage in enriching discussions on topics such as project-based learning, digital storytelling, learning analytics, and the ethical dimensions of research. Our aim is to nurture a culture of research-driven teaching that aligns with the core principles of the Sustainable Development Goals, ensuring that our efforts leave a lasting impact on both our students and the institutions we serve. This FDP is not just an opportunity to acquire new knowledge, but also to build a collaborative community of educators and researchers who can support one another in our shared pursuit of excellence in teaching and research. I wish you all a productive and insightful experience, and I hope the knowledge and connections gained here will empower you to shape the future of education with innovation, inclusivity, and purpose. Thank you, and I wish you all an enriching time ahead.
Thank you, Father, for giving us the vision behind this international FDP through a formal presentation of concept note. Thank you. It is my privilege to introduce Dr. Father Lijo P. Thomas, our esteemed Vice Principal and Chief Financial Officer, who will deliver the inaugural address. Dr. Father Lijo P. Thomas has been a guiding hand for the institution, combining his sharp administrative skills with a deep understanding of the academic environment. His leadership has played a key role in our continued growth and success. Father, we look forward to the inaugural address.
Good afternoon to all. The distinguished guests, Dr. Zakaria Matthew, the Director of International Office, Michigan University, Dr. Sapna Thwaite, the Provost of Michigan University, the esteemed resource persons, respected Dr. Gobagomar, the Dean of Humanities, Deanery, Christu Jayanti College, Father Joshi Matthew, the Head of the Department of English, Professor Jerin Jos, the Coordinator, Dr. Lola, the Coordinator of the Department of Christu Jayanti College, dear colleagues and participants. It is an honor to be here today, inaugurating the International Faculty Development Program on the theme Navigating the Future, Innovations and Strategies in Teaching and Research, organized by the Department of English at Christu Jayanti College. We all know that when we are living in an era where change is inevitable, let it be in any field, either in education or in agriculture or in food industry or medical, whatever be the field, change is happening day by day. So at a time when the technological advancements are rapidly changing, educational paradigms are reshaping the way we teach and research. The need to adapt and innovate has never been more crucial. Since advancement, especially in the field of education or the technology, the reskilling and upskilling of the teachers are very much inevitable now. There is a need of such kind of faculty development programs, especially in the field of research, that has become a mandate for all the people, those who are into education. So the primary aim of this FDP is to equip educators and researchers with cutting-edge strategies that enhance their professional practices. As educators, we have the unique responsibility of preparing the next generation for a world that is constant flux. To meet this challenge, it is essential that we embrace new methodologies and pedagogical approaches that foster critical thinking, creativity, and inclusivity in our classrooms. So this program will delve into various innovative teaching pedagogies, including competency-based education, project-based learning, hybrid and high-flex learning, inclusive pedagogy, digital storytelling, and mindful learning. These methodologies have the potential to make learning more engaging, relevant, and impactful. Additionally, we will explore the concept of universal design for learning and learning analytics, which ensure that education is accessible to all students, regardless of their background and abilities. So one of the key highlights of this FTP is the exploration of how artificial intelligence is transforming the education or education field. The integration of AI in teaching and learning is opening now new opportunities for personalized instruction, data-driven decision-making, and the creation of adaptive learning environments. This is not merely a technological shift, but also a shift how we perceive the approach to education. Moreover, this FDP will emphasize on the importance of research-driven teaching. As we are into the field of education, we are very well aware what is the need of reskilling and upskilling in the field of education. We are very well aware about the importance of research, and we are very much involved in contributing to the society through our research. So I take this opportunity to appreciate and congratulate the Department of English, headed by Dr. Gopakumar A.V., the Dean, Father Joshi Matthew, the head of the department, and Professor Jerin Jos and Loyola, the staff coordinators, and all the faculty coordinators and faculty members for your active involvement from deciding the theme or the conference central theme, and which is going to be very much beneficial to all the professionals who are into the field of education and all those who are going to the profession of education. So wish and pray that this FDP will be a fruitful and enriching experience. And may you get new insights and new idea on to innovate and upskill your teaching career or teaching abilities, and help all the participants to concentrate to more, contribute to more into the field of research. I wish and pray to Almighty to shower His choicest blessing upon all the participants and all the resource persons, and pray that this FDP be a very fruitful and enriching experience for all the participants. Thank you. May God bless you.
Thank you, Father, for your inspiring words and for setting the tone for this faculty development program. Now, we will hear the felicitation address delivered by Dr. Zachariah Matthew, Director for Global Engagement and Senior International Officer, University of Michigan Flint. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, and good evening, everybody. Truly honored. Truly honored to be part of this wonderful program that Krista Jayanti has really organized. And I, on behalf of the University of Michigan Flint, is thankful that we have an opportunity to be part of this event and contribute to the knowledge generation and the faculty development. This particular event, the faculty development program, is an acknowledgement of how much we as educators believe in the centrality of learning. If teaching was the ultimate goal, we wouldn't have been here. But this is truly a recognition that we are working towards learning, and learning changes from the generation of students. From one generation to the next, the learning changes. And as educators, it is important that we foster, and to foster that learning, I think such workshops play a vital role. And I cannot thank the Krista Jayanti and the leadership in coming together to put this faculty development workshop and bring resources from all around the world so that we can focus on two key aspects of institutions of higher education and as educators. One is knowledge generation, and number two is recognizing that the student and the learning is the centrality of our own existence, and to be able to create a space where we can provide a better environment for students to learn through innovation and through technology. And once again, thank you very much for having University of Michigan Flint be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Matthew, for your thoughtful remarks. Thank you, sir. To conclude this inaugural session, I now invite Dr. Loyola Thomas, our PG coordinator, to propose the vote of thanks. Dr. Loyola Thomas has been playing an important role as a coordinator in developing our postgraduate programs. Her commitment to supporting students and faculties in terms of research and development is surely a key part of our department's success. Dear ma'am, I request you to propose vote of thanks.
A very good evening to all those gathered here, and a warm good morning to all those who have joined us from the other side of the world. In navigating the future, gratitude is like a scintillating star. It is a moral compass that can transform our attitude, brighten our outlook, and broaden our perspective for a brighter future. At the outset, we tender our gratitude to God, whose infinite wisdom guides our present and inspires our future. The poet and artist William Blake, who was also a great innovator, once said, "What is now proved was once only imagined." Yes, it is indeed true that in embracing the innovations of today, we lay the foundation for the knowledge of tomorrow. True leadership is the ability to anticipate the future. Our deep appreciation to our Vice Principal, Dr. Lijopi Thomas, for his benevolent presence and his inspiring words. We thank you, Father. I also wish to express our gratitude to our principal, Father Augustine George in absentia, and all the members of their management. Our heartfelt appreciation to our Dean, Faculty of Humanities, Dr. Gopakumar A.V., for his astute leadership and constant support. We thank you, sir. It gives me great pleasure on behalf of Christi Jayanti College and all gathered here to express a deep sense of gratitude to Dr. Zachariah Matthew, Director of Global Engagement from Michigan Flint University, USA, for introducing us to our resource person of the day, Dr. Sapna Thwaite, also from Michigan Flint University. A special note of appreciation to ma'am and all the other resource persons for your gracious presence at this inaugural program. Great leadership is rooted in the courage to explore the unknown. A heartfelt thank you to our head of the department, Father Joshi Matthew, for his constant guidance and leadership. I thank Professor Jerin Jose, Coordinator, Department of English UG, for his continuous support. And I would also like to express our gratitude to the faculty members of the Department of English for working together to conceptualize this faculty development program, especially the FDP coordinators, Dr. Mary Reimer, Dr. Brighton Rose, Dr. Vidyavadi, and Dr. Nishita. Sincere thanks also to the excellent support we received from the technical team for the smooth functioning of this international faculty development program. Growth and gratitude are two sides of the same coin. In fact, growth and gratitude are qualities that define who we are. An FDP promotes growth, fostering innovation and creativity. A heartfelt thank you to the diverse audience members present here today. On behalf of our college, Christi Jayanti, and our department, I thank all the participants for their enthusiastic reception and registration for this faculty development program, and conclude with wishing each one of you the very best. Thank you.
A sincere thanks to Dr. Loyola Thomas, Coordinator, PG, Department of English. Thank you, ma'am. With this, we come to the close of the inaugural ceremony of our International Faculty Development Program. A heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speakers for their insightful contributions and to all the participants for being with us today. As we look forward to the engaging discussions ahead, please note that our first session will commence promptly at 2:30 p.m. I now have the pleasure of handing over the session to Dr. R. Vidyavati, who will be co-hosting the opening session of this enriching program. Kindly take a short break of 5 minutes. Please stay with us in the same meeting as we look forward for an enriching session commencing soon. Thank you. I remain.
Hello, Dr. Thwaite.
Hello, it's so nice to meet
Hi.
you.
So nice to see you. A very good morning to you. It must be quite early for you and Dr. Zakaria.
I am an early morning person. It's okay.
That is so sweet of you to say.
Yeah.
And your audio seems to be fine. Your video also seems to be fine.
Yeah.
Would you like to share your PPT just to see if that's working fine?
Absolutely. Let's do that right now. Give me one moment.
Yes.
Seems to be working fine.
Absolutely. Yes, we can see it very well. And it is a formal program, so I'm keeping all my pleasantries to the minimum. But I did want to say on behalf of Father, are you here, Father? Father Joshi Matthew?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, may I introduce our head of the department,
Yes.
Father Joshi Matthew, to you? And Father would say a few words inviting you to our.
Thank you, Dr. Sapna, for joining with us today. It's a great privilege and a pleasure to host you today.
I have so much gratitude for this opportunity. Thank you so much for affording me this opportunity to be here and share with all of you. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what the future holds with this collaboration. I'm very, very excited about this.
We
Thank
hope
you.
so. Thank you so much.
Yes. Would you like me to keep sharing my screen right now, or should I stop sharing?
Yes, you could stop. We were just
Okay.
checking technical glitches. You never know, right?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, hold on one moment. Oh. Too many screens open at once.
I understand.
Okay, that should work. Hold on. My apologies. My computer is
No,
going.
you could just go to Zoom and say stop sharing
Yeah, let's just do that.
and just minimize this too.
Yeah. Why is this not closing? Hold on one moment. I'm sorry.
I think you have to say stop sharing.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah,
It disappeared. It's disappeared
Yeah.
for a minute. There we go.
And Dr. Thwaite, I did want to say we are very honored to have you here with us. And on behalf of all of us here, we can't wait to see you in Christianity physically
Yes.
with Dr. Matthew, maybe in the near future. Dr. Matthew did mention that they are here in January. So
Yes.
hope you'd be able to, would you be accompanying? Oh,
I will
great.
be. I will be coming, and I'm counting down the days and the weeks. I'm very excited to meet you all in person.
As are we. I wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Are there any concerns you can ask me?
My only question for you is, how long would you like me to speak, and would you like me to devote some time for questions?
Yes, I did want to ask you if we have your permission for a short Q&A session at the end of it. And ma'am would be speaking for about 40 minutes.
Okay.
1 second, ma'am. Let me confirm that. Mary, ma'am, 40 minutes. Ma'am speaks for 40 minutes with a short Q&A.
Okay, and feel free to let me know if you want me to start closing my presentation, and if you feel like if it's getting close to 40 minutes, you can indicate to me that it's getting close to 40 minutes. I'm happy to stop. So
absolutely. Thank you.
Because I could talk for a long time. This is a topic that I'm very passionate about.
Great.
Again, a very warm welcome to each one of you. Here are few instructions for the participants. We kindly request all the participants to join 10 minutes before the scheduled time to ensure smooth functioning of the sessions. Please rename your device with your complete name along with affiliation which will help us to track the attendance. E-certificate will be issued only to registered participants who have paid the registration fee, attend all the sessions, and complete the daily feedback forms. Please do not share the Zoom link with anyone. It is essential to fill the feedback forms daily, which will be provided at the end of the session. A student's sense of belonging can significantly impact both teaching and learning in the classroom. When students feel they belong, they more likely engage, participate, and be motivated to learn. Here is a captivating session highlighting on the concept, understanding how students' sense of belonging impacts learning and teaching by Dr. Sapna Thwaite. I feel deeply honored and humbled to introduce the resource person of today, Dr. Sapna Thwaite, who serves as Vice Provost for Academic Affairs and Professor of Education at the University of Michigan, Flint. She received her PhD in Educational Psychology from Michigan State University. Her expertise in this field highlights her research focus on leadership identity, crisis leadership, the psychological impact of uncertainty, and change on leadership development. In her role as a campus leader, she draws upon her professional background in educational psychology to launch and execute Why I Belong at University of Michigan Flint, improving our capacity to meet student needs initiative. This initiative aims to foster campus-wide recognition and understanding of students' sense of belonging, catering to both current students and alumni. She is also a strong advocate for promoting global learning and study abroad opportunities for students, faculty, and staff through her partnership work with the University of Greifswald, Germany. Her previous experience expounds teaching a study abroad course in Indore, India, called Culture, Learning, and Identity in India and also in the United States. She's also the part in the past development of an international student teaching experience for future teachers in Hyderabad, India. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Sapna to take over the enriching session. Thank you, madam.
I just want to express a very heartfelt thank you. I have no words for all the gratitude that I feel and the honor and privilege that I'm experiencing to be able to present my research with all of you today. My name is Sapna Thwaite, and I just want to really emphasize to you that having this opportunity is a dream come true for me. A little bit about my personal origins. I am of Indian origin, as you can probably tell by my first name. I'm married to a British man, which is why my last name is Thwaite. I'm the first one in my family to be born in the United States, but I had the great fortune of visiting India just about every year of my childhood as I was growing up. And so for me, it has always been a dream come true to be able to do this type of presentation to an Indian audience. And also just cultural collaboration is really central to my core as a professional. And so for me to have this opportunity is really a great honor. So I just want to thank the leadership and the faculty and the staff at Christu Jayanthi for allowing me this opportunity. My project that I'm going to share with you today is based on my professional background as an educational psychologist. And I want to tell you a little bit about my professional background, just so you know a little bit about me. I am an educational psychologist. I was a faculty member within the education department from 2000 to 2009. And then in 2009, I became a teacher education accreditation director. And from that point onwards, I started my journey into administration, where I became an associate dean for 8 years in the School of Education and Human Services. And now in the last year, I have been the vice provost for academic affairs at the University of Michigan, Flint. A little bit about my university. We are a public regional institution that was established in 1956, and we're located in the heart of downtown Flint, which is in Michigan, the state of Michigan in the United States. And some of you have probably heard of the University of Michigan before. We have 3 different campuses. The big campus is University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. Our smaller satellite campuses are U of M Dearborn and U of M Flint. These are 3 very distinct but aligned institutions, and they have their own unique missions and priorities. Our particular institution, U of M Flint, has over 6,400 students, and we offer programs at the bachelor's level, master's, and doctoral level. And there are 5 major academic units. Now my role involves kind of broad oversight of multiple programs across these units, but we have the College of Arts, Sciences, and Education, School of Management, College of Health Sciences, School of Nursing, and the College of Innovation and Technology. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a broad overview of our institutional context, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions related to this as we carry on with the presentation. So the inspiration for this project, which is called the Why I Belong at UM Flint Initiative, is that I taught educational psychology courses to future elementary and secondary teachers for a long period of time. And I taught a class related to trauma-informed practice and what are the types of things that future teachers need to think about when they think about students experiencing trauma. And one of the things that I've asked myself many times as a teacher and a scholar is how can you foster a sense of psychological safety in the classroom while keeping humanity at the center, but also considering the very diverse identities of your students? I'm an identity researcher at my core, but I also have taken a very relational approach to learning and teaching. And I think part of that has to do with my own personal origins, but also has to do with who I am as a person. Relational learning is an approach to education that really focuses on the importance of creating a very positive and engaging learning environment. And I start all of my work with the preface that when students feel valued and connected to their teachers and peers, they're more likely to be motivated to learn. They're probably going to be more engaged in class and also more academically successful. So this concept of sense of belonging is one that has been intriguing to me ever since I started teaching at the university. But now in my role as vice provost, I feel like I finally have the opportunity to actually enact a project that relates to this particular concept and finding ways to promote it in a positive way at our institution. Now, all of us all across the world experienced the COVID-19 pandemic, and that reminded us at our core that we all crave a strong sense of connection. I remember during the pandemic not being able to see my colleagues, friends, and family in person, and being very excited to have those Zoom calls where we could actually connect with each other on a personal level. This is the same for our students. So a sense of connectedness has a lot of different, very positive advantages for our students. When they feel connected to our institutions, they feel engaged and they feel motivated. They feel a strong sense of community to us. It makes them more resilient, able to endure more hardship, and also to be able to deal with more trying personal circumstances. And then as a university administrator, one of the things that's really important to me in my work is that we are supporting our student retention efforts. It's not enough to recruit students to our institutions. We have to find ways to make them stay. And that's an essential focus for me in this particular role. So I feel very blessed that I've had the opportunity to do research in this area because it is something that's very of personal and professional relevance to me. One other thing I want to mention is that in terms of my own personal origins, the reason I'm doing what I'm doing today professionally is because I had the opportunity to be a research assistant in an undergraduate research project. And so I feel very strongly that we need to afford our students these types of opportunities. So I actually have a co-principal investigator in this project, and also my co-writer who is going to be writing publications and presenting with me. And this is actually a student. And I want to just acknowledge her right now. Her name is Mia Hobbins. She's an honors program student in psychology at our institution, and she is somebody who's been working with me very closely on this project. Okay, so Students' sense of belonging is very multidimensional. There are a lot of different factors that impact a student's sense of belonging at a university. Some of these factors are more academic in nature, and some of them are a little bit more personal. I'm going to highlight in this presentation some of the things related to students' identities that I think are really central to think about when we think about their sense of connection to the institution. Identity is a very important lens through which students and human beings make sense of the world around us. And it's really important going into this project for me that we emphasize the idea that students are not just students, they are actually people. And they are people whose lives transcend the boundaries of the university classroom. So all of those different factors that they bring to the classroom, whether they are the first one in their family to go to a university, whether they are a member of a particular caste, whether they are male or female, all of those different factors will impact their engagement with education. Also, with some of our historically underrepresented groups, there isn't a lot of research about how sense of belonging and mental health impact students' engagement with education. So that is another very important kind of factor in the motivating this research project. And also, there is a large body of research on mattering, the importance of mattering for students' psychological well-being, and that when we are teaching and learning at our institutions, it's really important that we try our hardest to look at things from the perspective of the student, not just from the perspective of faculty, staff, and leadership. So I also just wanted to mention one quick thing. You will notice during this presentation that I might stop to unpack some of the terminology that I use that's very specific to the American higher educational context. Please do not hesitate at the end of this presentation if you need any clarification or wish to make any connections to your own higher educational context. I view this presentation very much as a bi-directional learning process for all of us. And I'm excited actually to have this opportunity to share our context a little bit and to see what we have in common and what is different between our two contexts. So some of the terminology I use might be very specific to our context. For this particular study, I had two different phases that I started with that are complete now at this particular point in time. And there's a third phase that I am starting. I actually just started a couple months ago. But the questions that I went into were with how do specific identity groups experience sense of belonging at U of M Flint, the sense of connection to the university? What is their experience? And then what do we as leadership, faculty, and staff need to put in place in order to address students' diverse needs? And to talk about our particular student population, it is very different than student populations at other kind of more traditional universities. When I started working at U of M Flint, it was in the year 2000. Our average age of our undergraduate students at that time was 26 years of age. We had a largely what we call non-traditional student population. Many of our students, even currently, more traditional students now, but many of our students, even currently, have families. Some of our students are single parents. Some of our students work full-time jobs, in some cases, multiple jobs, while going to the university for their coursework. And we also, in our particular region of the United States and of Michigan, have students who have very dire financial needs. And so it is not unusual to have students have very busy lives. Their identities are not just connected to being students, but also connected to all of these different roles that they have outside of the university. My research assistant, Mia, and I first started to brainstorm which different identity groups we might find at our institution. This is the list that we first developed. And I wanted to unpack some of the terminology here because some of it is very perhaps American higher education kind of specific language. We have this list that we brainstormed of different identity groups. Now, when I think of myself, for instance, I think of myself as a female. I'm a parent. I'm of Indian origin. I'm a person of color. students don't necessarily fit neatly into these identity groups. They might have identities that fit into multiple different groups. But some of the ones that we brainstormed here were these particular groups here. These are populations of students that we wanted to learn more about. We wanted to learn more about how they did and how they did not feel connected to our institutional context. And what are the things that we could do to help support them more academically and personally? One of the groups that I've mentioned here, and I put asterisks next to number 3, 4, 7, and 8. When I'm talking about individuals who are non-cis individuals, I'm referring to individuals whose experience with their gender identity might not correspond to the sex that they were assigned at birth. Okay, so I would consider myself to be a cis individual. My gender identity as a woman corresponds to me being assigned as a female at birth. We have some students on our campus who do not experience their gender that same way. We also have some students who are first generation students. At the University of Michigan, students are considered first generation college students if neither their parents or guardians have completed a 4-year college or university degree. If they are the first one in their family to go to a 4-year university, they're considered first generation students. A very long acronym in number 7, LGBTQIA+. And just to unpack that for you, this is a acronym that is used that stands for those students who might identify as being lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer questioning, intersex, asexual, and aromantic. That is a very, very long explanation that I just offered there. But basically, in short, that plus represents those students who do not identify with, who represent being non-cisgender and have non-straight identities. Okay, there is a sizable population of students on our campus that would represent that particular group. And lastly, the veterans, another group that may or may not be familiar to you in your local context. These are students who are current or former members of the United States Armed Force and have decided that they want to pursue a higher education degree. So this could include members of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Space Force, National Guard, and Coast Guard. Okay, so as you can tell from all of these different identity groups that we brainstormed, we have students who represent a lot of different backgrounds at our institution. And what we are trying to capture here is how they experience a sense of connection to our particular university context. Our research approach for phases 1 and 2. Phase 1 included an electronic survey. It was a revised version of a sense of belonging scale that already exists that we sent to our entire student population. We also did a number of semi-structured focus group meetings. Some of them were over Zoom and some were in person. We found that the ones that we did over Zoom, we had better attendance. We collected data related to student sense of belonging, their perceived support from their peers, the classroom supports they received on our campus, faculty support, and other factors that might help us recognize the different ways that they feel connected or do not feel connected to our institutional context. Now, out of all of the people that we sent questionnaires to, we heard back from approximately 314 students. The number was not as large as I would have wished for, but we did have some very rich focus groups with these students where we talked about these different facets of their identity and the different factors that impacted how they felt connected to our campus. We used what's called a grounded theory methodology. We went into this very open-mindedly with no initial hypotheses. We asked a lot of open-ended questions. We came up with a coding framework and we took some of the core categories and themes and we basically integrated them into one central framework. One thing I want to mention to all of you that was very exciting for me in this particular process is that our university is really capitalizing on the use of generative artificial intelligence. And this was my first experience, a very exciting experience that I would love to share with you all at some point, to analyze our data actually using our Michigan Chat GPT platform. We actually analyzed several hundreds of pages of focus group data using ChatGPT in order to generate the major themes and categories that emerged in our data analysis. This really led our work to be very efficient, but of course we needed to make sure that we verified the accuracy of our results. And these results are currently being presented. I'm really happy and excited to be able to present this research to you all and in an international audience. We are also presenting on our campus currently. I've had an opportunity to do workshops for faculty and staff in all academic units. Right now in Michigan, it is 5:20 in the morning. At 9 a.m., I have the great pleasure of presenting these recommendations to our senior leadership team. And also, my hope is that with my undergraduate research assistant, Mia, we will be able to write do some more conference presentations and also write some publications together. My plan is really to capitalize on this opportunity for my student research assistant to have the opportunity to read, write, and research topics related to students themselves. The research questions and approach for phase 3, which is currently in progress. We have a large institutional project called the Inclusive History Project. And part of my research, which we are now just doing currently, is related to the past and present voices and perspectives of students on our campus, and whether we feel that their identity narratives are represented within what we call the university archives. So we have an area of our institution, which is a very fascinating place, where they have archives of all of the records, historical records, minutes from organization meetings from the past, a whole historical archive of information related to different groups on our campus. And so one of the things that we have been doing, and we started this work very systematically over the summer, was to look at all of these library archives. And we are focusing on particular identity groups that are of interest to us. We are very interested in focusing on women, international students, students of color who are domestic and international students, and also students who fall under the category that I mentioned earlier, the LGBTQIA+ population. And we are looking at these resources that are available and trying to figure out which identity narratives are represented within our archives, which ones are not represented, and how can we learn from what is there and what is not there in thinking about sense of belonging of our university students? Because looking at history is a really important indicator of the current situation and also might help us shape our approach to the future. So we're taking kind of more of a historical perspective on sense of belonging and identity by looking at these past records. This is very much a new part of our process, and I'm also very happy to share that our University of Michigan Dearborn campus has great interest in this topic, and so we've been meeting on a monthly basis, hoping that we might be able to forge some connections with the Dearborn campus for collaboration. Okay, now we're getting to our findings. What have we learned so far? Through the questionnaires that we have done and through the focus groups, we have learned that most of our student participants have expressed that they feel very valued by us as an institution. This in and of itself is a really significant finding because after pouring through pages and pages and pages of qualitative data, to know that we are doing something right and helping our students feel valued is important for me as an educational psychologist because we are fostering this sense of connection, we are encouraging our students to be motivated and engaged in our classrooms, and they feel like we are making that personal connection that matters to them. They experience a strong sense of community and friendship with others at U of M Flint, which is really important for our particular student population because their lives are so complex that they feel this sense of connection. One of the things that was really interesting, however, that I learned is that our students believe that we have a mostly supportive academic environment. Not all students who we spoke with felt that our academic environment was supportive to them. And when I actually was able to break down between the different academic units, what I was able to see is that those academic units that address topics and programs that more naturally connect to identity and culture and some of the things that relate to sense of belonging, those students felt that their academic units were more supportive of their identities than other areas that don't lend themselves as naturally to these topics. So just to give you an example, you might not be as likely to talk about sense of belonging and identity in a computer science program. But if you're teaching a sociology program or teaching in a women and gender studies program, you might be more likely to talk about those topics more naturally. So one of the things that I'm starting to wonder is how can we address sense of belonging in these other subject matters that don't lend themselves naturally to topics of belonging and identity? Another thing that became very apparent is that students want safe spaces on campus where they can express their sense of belonging and feel like they belong. This has a lot to do with, in the United States, we are very focused on student organizations to help support and nurture students' learning and development on campus. Some students feel that they wish that there were more organizations that address the different facets of their identities. So just to give an example, for instance, if you have a student who identifies as being Middle Eastern, but they also identify as being a member of the queer community, what are the safe spaces where those students can go to where they can express both identities and feel that sense of connection to others who have those same identities? So we are trying to think about ways that we can create more safe spaces on campus where students can feel that their multiple identities are supported. Also, many of our students have expressed appreciation for the attention that our university gives to international students. Right now, we are really focused on growing our international student population. And I'm really happy to say that we are in the process of setting a really robust infrastructure to support this recruitment effort, and that our international students who are on our campus right now are very happy about the types of experiences that they're having on our campus. And this is largely in part to our Center for Global Engagement, which Dr. Matthews supports. The next steps for this initiative, we are very interested in developing more robust systems of support and engagement for students who are online learners. We have many students at our university who are not enrolled in face-to-face classes. They are students who are participating in online programs. Our former chancellor pushed very strongly for creating a robust array of online programs. And so we do have a lot of students who are coming to our university from far away. And so we have to find ways to connect these students more to our campus in order for them to feel that sense of belonging, and in turn, retain those students. We also need to ensure that all academic departments on campus are inclusive, welcoming, and support students' sense of belonging. As I mentioned to you earlier, many of our students experience sense of belonging very differently, depending on which academic area they are a part of. So that's something that I really would like to universally approach as a topic of importance for faculty and staff on our campus. Also, our students, as I mentioned to you, many of them are non-traditional students, and they have very complex lives. I'm sure that you have students who have complex lives as well. The students who come to campus who are parents, who served as veterans, who have multiple identities that they're grappling with. Providing students support in juggling these competing priorities is very important. And so one of the things that I'm doing as a vice provost is working with different support offices on campus to think about ways that we can better support our students. I've mentioned some of these things already, so I'm not going to emphasize all of these points, but the fact that students have multiple identities and recognizing this notion of intersectionality, this is another topic that's a very current topic in the US higher education context, the idea that students might experience their identities as an interconnectedness of social categories. And this interconnectedness of social categories, let's just say for me, for instance, my gender as a woman, my cultural background as an Indian person, all of these factors shape my individual experiences and opportunities. And so it is important for us as academics to make sure that we recognize these influences. Another phenomenon that is really, really prevalent on our campus that I want to emphasize from the slide is the acknowledgement of personal pronouns. And I'm really curious to hear if this is happening in other countries. In the United States, personal pronouns are very important in university contexts because they're a way to acknowledge and respect someone's identity and create a safe and welcoming space for people of all genders. So we are encouraged as academics to include our personal pronouns in our signatures on Zoom meetings. That my personal pronouns, for instance, include she, her, and hers. That shows that I am a straight female and that I identify as being a she. Students on our campus have actually expressed that they feel that when faculty share their personal pronouns, that this shows respect for cultivating an inclusive culture. Okay. And so this is something that is really becoming prevalent in the US higher educational context, is this notion of personal pronouns. I mean, this is related to the idea of demonstrating more sensitivity towards different identities. And my last point here is about developing sensitivity towards cultural difference. This is another piece that comes up quite a bit. As we're growing our international student population on our campus, there have been instances where students have said that they wish that the faculty and staff understood their cultural identities more. And this is something that is definitely a priority of my office, is educating our faculty and staff about the different student identities that we have coming from other countries and really being able to unpack what some of the cultural norms are for learning and teaching in other places. I'm going to briefly touch upon one more aspect of sense of belonging that I think is really important to emphasize in this presentation. And this is related to a series that I started on our campus. So all of us have had college students who've been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. And we at University of Michigan Flint, for the first time, have students who are coming in as first-year university students who spent most of their high school experience online during the COVID-19 pandemic. So we have to think about ways that we can develop strategies to support and retain this very unique student population. So I want to unpack what I mean by K-12. In the United States, students typically start their more formal educational experience in kindergarten. So K stands for kindergarten, and 12th is 12th grade or 12th standard in India. We actually took the time to meet with K-12 educators and administrators to learn about academic needs of our first-year university students who are impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. I've mentioned a bunch of different school districts that we worked with that are in our local regional area. And basically what we tried to do was meet with these educators and administrators to understand what the academic needs are of these particular students who are coming in, who had a very disjointed educational experience prior to coming to U of M Flint, and to identify the ways that we can promote sense of belonging amongst this particular population of students. And these are some of the findings that we have had as we've talked to administrators and to teachers. Many of our students who are coming into the university right now lack routine and perseverance. They have a hard time establishing habits and routines, which also impact their engagement, which might also impact their sense of belonging. These are students who had a very disjointed educational experience during the pandemic, and they really need to have some very comprehensive support systems. These are also students who are maybe not as mature, maybe not as likely to persevere, and also lacking social experiences and social skills. This is actually quite interesting. Now, in the United States, many high school students might have part-time employment during the summer. They might work in the shopping mall, or they might work at a grocery store. They might attend camp during the summer times when their parents are working. Many of the students who are coming into the university right now as incoming first-year students have not had those social experiences. So as a result of not having those social experiences, they might lack self-confidence to even approach their professors and write professional emails. What we have been told by some of our K-12 colleagues is the students you are getting now as college students, they're not really college students. They're more like high school students. So When we think about sense of belonging, there are a lot of things that we need to think about here. There's personal factors related to identity, which students bring to the picture, but also a lot of things related to their academic preparedness to be at the university that we have to consider. Also, many of these students do not have as much experience with independence and conflict resolution. Coming to a college campus is a very new experience for them. And also because they had much of their high school experience during the pandemic, many of them experienced severe learning loss because their experience in education was a little bit disjointed. And we have to think about other things that are really important, and that is like coming to class and being present. Some of these students have suffered from attendance issues while they are in high school. So now they're coming to the university and we're depending on them to be responsible young adults coming to their courses, attending regularly and doing the coursework. And we are anticipating that we might have some challenges with students being accountable, coming to class and participating regularly. Now, for me, as a university administrator, this is very problematic because part of feeling connected to the university and retaining students at the university involves having them actually physically coming to class and being engaged in class. But these students are obviously coming in with some disadvantages given their current status and educational experiences during the pandemic. And so we have to really take that extra step to connect to these students, help them cultivate that sense of belonging, and help them feel like this is a place where they matter. Several recommendations that I have related to this particular facet of my work that we really need to make sure as a university that we are establishing a sense of routine and perseverance with our students. And I'm not as familiar with how this particular phenomenon occurs in the Indian higher educational system. We have a lot of academic advisors who also work with our students. They do regular check-ins with the students. They help them manage their time. They help them establish short and long-term goals. Our particular student population right now requires a lot more of this direct support and assistance. Related to that, we are trying to focus more on comprehensive support systems, promoting more tutoring, writing resources, academic coaching for students, making sure that we offer these types of check-ins both virtually and in person. We have a student population that has a lot of different competing demands on their time. So making sure that we include virtual opportunities to connect to professors and to academic advisors is really important. Another thing that our advisors need to do with our students, and I can't believe that somebody actually made this suggestion, that students need to have practice role-playing what it is like to interact with a professor. Some of these students have not interacted a lot with adults face-to-face because they did so much of their high school virtually. So having that opportunity to role-play and to how would you talk to your professor if there's a difficult situation? What if you are having problems in the class? How do you have a successful interaction with your faculty? What are the ways that you approach learning and teaching in a productive manner with your faculty? And maybe you're having some challenges that you want to discuss with them. What are some ways that you can do that to really help yourself feel more connected and feel more motivated to do well in school? And related to this, a number of social and emotional challenges that our students are starting to face as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we are really trying hard as a university to expose our students to mental health resources, offering a lot of workshops that help them advocate for themselves, learn how to manage stress, have a little bit more compassion for themselves, learning some ways to cope, developing conflict resolution strategies, and really trying to emphasize to our faculty that we need to create as open and empathetic of an environment as we possibly can in order to make sure that our students feel connected to our university context and that we can actually support their success in the ways that we want to. I'm also working very closely with our academic units to make sure that we are not assuming that students are coming in with the same knowledge and skills that they would have come in with in the past. The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted our students' learning experiences in high school. It is impacting what they come into the university with. So it's important that we identify learning gaps. We don't assume, for instance, that students coming into Psychology 101 are coming in with the same knowledge that they would have had 5 years ago. So we might have to create more customized support plans for students. We might have to monitor the attendance of our students at the university and make sure that we are intervening early if they have challenges. At our university, we have a faculty alert system. If the students are not doing well academically, you can put in an alert as a faculty member, and there will be a support staff member who will reach out to that student and try to support their success in that particular class. Also, we have what's called a care system. If a student is dealing with extraordinary personal circumstances, that you can alert the system as a faculty member, and that student will get a outreach email or a phone call from our CAPS center, which is our counseling center, in order to engage in some early intervention for mental health concerns. So we are trying everything we can do as a university to reach out to students, to create that sense of connection, to help them feel engaged and motivated, but also connect with them on a personal level and an academic level. It's a lot of work, but we're trying our hardest. And hopefully through all of this, we are enacting more relational learning approaches, modeling more compassion and caring practices. Just as I said to you in the beginning of this talk, really keeping our humanity at the center of what we do is very important. And with all of these different layers that we're talking about, the different identities of students, their sense of belonging, the different complex experiences they bring to the university, and also now most recently, the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. And all of us, not just students, faculty, staff, leaders, having to navigate this really uncertain, changing space of higher education. It is really important that we model compassion and caring practices. And I'm really curious to hear from all of you about what you consider to be compassion and caring practices. I know that my lens is very unique, coming from education and being an educational psychologist in the US higher education context, but this is really, I really would love to open this up to a more global level conversation about what are some of the things that we can do to engage our students on a more human level and cultivate that sense of belonging. So I'm going to leave it at that. And just want to thank you very much for this opportunity to share my insights with all of you. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. And I'd love to hear comments as well. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your thought-provoking speech. And there are a few questions, ma'am. I'll just put forth. The first question is, the non-profit organizations like Project Edu offer assistance to the underprivileged Indian students. However, the algorithm to determine the deserving applicant is mostly flawed. How an efficient algorithm to discover worthy students can be envisioned, ma'am?
Oh, wow. That's a really, really important question. So I'm curious, what is the process that is used to determine whether students have access to services? Because at our university, the idea is that all have access. So we, one of our core principles is equitable access to student services. So if you come to the University of Michigan Flint, if you are a student at University of Michigan Flint, you have access to these services. And I'm just curious with this question, what is the process that is used in order to gauge whether students have access?
Maybe you can ask.
Maybe the person who asked the question would be able to.
Yes, ma'am. It is
that a little
asked
bit?
by the participant, ma'am.
Okay, so I would say that so my own view on this, and this is coming from my educational context, which is very different, of course, is that I understand that we have a lot of different identities that we are contending with. I understand that we have limited resources, but I think that in order to be able to reach all students, we need to have equitable access So to the extent that we can have as open and inclusive of a process to engage student in these services, I think that's absolutely essential. Because in my view, if we're keeping humanity at the center and trying to make sure that we're providing access to all students, that we do need to make those processes as open and inclusive as possible. But that, of course, is a very idealistic response because we don't always have the resources to be able to support all students. And that's where I would say, if you don't have individuals who can who can provide support to those students, sometimes a more team-based approach is helpful. Now, at our institution, we have like a collaborative team. It's called the CARE team. We have a collaborative team that deals with faculty alerts. If students are not doing well academically, a team will intervene. So maybe a more realistic approach is even having a committee that would address some of those concerns together. And that way you have different perspectives that are involved in developing strategy to support students, because not all of us have those resources, right? Our university is very small. And I think Dr. Matthew will attest to this fact. We all do so many different roles. So having us take that team-based approach, I think, is one that I would really advocate for. But of course, I'm talking about this from my perspective. This is very different than perhaps the perspective of the person asking the question.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is, what are the strategies do teachers employ in fostering a sense of belongingness among students? Can you mention some strategies which you apply for the sense of belongingness?
Absolutely. So in our context, one of the things that we do is we are very intentional about choosing which faculty members engage with students when they come to the university. So pretend that I am an education professor and I'm teaching Educational Psychology 101. Being very selective about who the professors are who are first engaging with the students, okay? People who can take a little bit more of a relational approach, who get to know the students, not just as students, but also as people. They take the time to build more interpersonal connection with the students, because when they build that interpersonal connection, they're more likely to build a relationship with that student. And if they're more likely to build a relationship with that student, the students are more likely to come to class and want to be there, right? So being very intentional about the selection of faculty is important. Another thing is, in our university context, many of our students are the first one in their family to go to the university. So they don't know how to do college, right? So making sure that we're teaching students the important skills that they need to be successful at the university, whether it's time management, whether it's learning how to study, okay, study strategies, things of that kind, modeling those types of practices early on in a student's academic experience can help them then build upon those strategies in their future years at the university. We cannot assume that students know these things. And now with COVID-19 and all of the learning loss that we have seen in the United States, and I'll just give you an example of this. I have a daughter who is a very bright 10-year-old, but she is not the best speller. Okay, her spelling is not very good. And a lot of this is because she spent the bulk of her elementary school years in online school. Okay, we cannot assume that children are coming in with the knowledge they had before, just as we cannot assume that college students are coming in with the same skills that they had before. So I think also another thing that I would say in terms of sense of belonging is making sure that we understand what knowledge students are coming in with now, and not assuming that they have that knowledge, but actually taking the time to do informal assessments of students' learning to make sure we understand what they're coming in with. I think all of those things can help promote sense of belonging, both personally and academically.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're
Our
welcome.
next question is, as your psychologist, the question is related to identity, ma'am. How does identity play an important role in building sense of belongingness? And how does it impact student learning? So how identity plays a major role in the sense of belonging?
Okay.
And how
So,
does it impact, ma'am?
okay. So let's think about identity is your primary lens for making sense of the world around you. Okay. So my identity as an Indian woman is one of the major lenses through which I make sense of the world around me. So think about this in terms of our students. If you are, I'm going to just say, an international student coming from India to the United States, that is a primary identity for you. And let's say that you're at a university that does not take the time to connect to you personally. Okay. They don't take the time to cultivate that sense of connection to your identity. They don't take the time to understand your cultural norms, your ways of learning, the ways that you've been taught in the past. If they don't do that, they're not making a sense of connection to you. And so they're not fostering that sense of belonging. But let's say, by contrast, you have a university that is taking the time to learn about your cultural background and your norms. They're taking the time to understand how you've learned over the years, and they understand your educational system. They've created support for you on your campus to help nurture your sense of identity as an international student, that they connect you to other Indian students, that they also connect you to domestic students, so you can cultivate that sense of identity as a domestic student. That is promoting a sense of belonging. And if you're promoting that sense of belonging and helping that student feel connected, they're likely to be more engaged with learning. And they're likely to stay at the university. So all of these pieces are kind of interconnected. And it might not be the best example, but I just think that it really points to the importance, like at our institution, that we really want to make sure that we are connecting to students in very meaningful and deep ways, because that is going to help them feel more engaged with learning, and that's going to help them want to stay.
Thank you, ma'am.
May I also comment on that question
Please,
from a
please.
very lived experience or from my own life here in the United States. I moved to the United States about 25 years ago to do my master's in exercise physiology and sports management. When I reflect back, I probably fared well in those classes where I had an opportunity to reflect and contribute my own identity and my own lived experience, where I was able to contribute a cultural perspective or add another frame of reference. And those were mostly management classes. And also as an international student who got to involve in the community and be a part of the community where they recognized my identity and valued my perspectives, really contributed in my learning. And to the extent that it is that ability to share my values, my perspectives, that led to thinking into a very different professional career. There is nothing relating sports management, exercise physiology to what I do today. But the opportunity that was lended to me to share those perspectives and learn from that led to what I'm doing today. So I think it becomes very important in a classroom and outside the classroom. If you really look at learning, goes beyond the classroom, where the student gets opportunity to contribute to that knowledge generation or to that space of learning, they would gain more and contribute more. So I just wanted to kind of give that practical aspect of how it influenced my life, changing the entire career because I got an opportunity to reflect on my own lived experience and contribute through a very different cultural lens or perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir, for your memorable experience. Herewith, I call Professor Brighton A. Rose for delivering his vote of thanks.
So a very good evening to everyone. So it's my privilege and honor to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing committee. First and foremost, I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Professor Sapna Thwaite, Vice Provost
Sir, it's muted.
A very good afternoon to everyone. So it is my privilege and honor to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing committee. First and foremost, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Professor Sapna Thwaite, Vice Provost of Academic Affairs, Department of Education, University of Michigan Flint, for delivering such an insightful and thought-provoking session on understanding how students' sense of belonging impacts learning and teaching. Your expertise and valuable perspectives have provided us with a deeper understanding of how fostering a sense of belongingness among students helps them express their identities as they are, build a more inclusive environment with teachers, and impact learning outcomes and teaching practices. We are deeply grateful for your time and your significant contribution to this international FTP. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank our management for their continuous support and encouragement in organizing such academic initiatives. A special note of thanks to Father Joshi Matthew, the head Department of English, whose leadership and guidance have been vital in ensuring the smooth coordination of this program. We truly appreciate your efforts and dedication, Father. I'd like to thank our Dean of Humanities for his unwavering support and for facilitating the necessary resources for this FDP. Your contribution is greatly valued, sir. A big thanks to our coordinators for their meticulous planning and to all the faculty members of the department. Your efforts behind the scenes have ensured the seamless execution of today's session. Expressing our gratitude to Mr. Amir and all the technical team who have rendered their support for the smooth flow of this event. A sincere thanks to all the participants for their active engagement, and we look forward to their continuing support, and this enriching journey together will continue in the upcoming sessions. Thank you all once again and have a great day ahead. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Professor Brighton. And now I request all the participants to turn on your cameras so that we'll make this event memorable. Please turn on your cameras. Thank you so much, participants. With your coordination and cooperation, the first session ended successfully. Tomorrow, the session is headed by Dr. Srividya Shivkumar, and the topic is an ecosystem of equality, sustainable education for all. I request everyone to join 10 minutes before the session, which is 3:20, 3:30, the session commences. Thank you, everyone. Feedback link will be sent in the chat box. Please do fill the feedback forms without fail. Thank you. Thank you, Sapna ma'am, again for your thought-provoking speech. It made every one of us to think over what we can carry out to bring out the sense of belonging in our classroom. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I look forward to meeting some of you in person when I come.
Thank you, ma'am.
in
Thank you,
January.
ma'am. Meet you, ma'am. Meet you soon. Thank you.
May I also add my thank you, Dr. Sapna Thwaite, for beginning your day with us today. And I do hope you would have a beautiful day ahead as you meet with your authorities and share this research. You can tell them that the comment box, the chat section is blowing up with people thanking you and saying how significant this research is. So you can take our feedback to them. And
I feel very blessed for this opportunity. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you,
Thomas.
ma'am.
And I really look forward to meeting all of you in person.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Very
you,
soon.
Dr. Zakaria, if you're here. Dr. Matthew, thank you too. At this note, we will close the session and goodbye, everybody. Have a pleasant evening.
We have some glimpses here regarding our college and our event. Please have a look.
Kristu Jayanti College and was glad to know that it is managed by CMI fathers, which is making a significant impact in the field of education in the nation.
In the hallowed halls of Kristu Jayanti College, a symphony of transformation unfolds, where the echoes of knowledge, skills, values, and attitude resound as the very heartbeat of our educational edifice. Here, we do not merely impart education, we sculpt destinies, ignite aspirations, and instill values that shape not just careers, but the very essence of humanity. With a student strength surpassing an astonishing 12,000, we have grown into a vibrant community where students from all the 29 states and union territories of a diverse nation come together to pursue knowledge, dreams, and ambitions. We are on a boundless journey with our expansive array of over 65 undergraduate and postgraduate programs designed to cater to a student community with passions and professional aspirations. Yet, our story continues. Recently, we achieved a remarkable NAC A++ grade with a CGPA of 3.78 during the third cycle of accreditation. As we stand here today, we witness the present grandeur of this institution, a testimony of our collective vision, relentless dedication, and unwavering commitment to nurturing young minds. In the rich history of Kristu Jayanti College's journey, a narrative unfolds that gracefully embraces the passage of time. It is a tale that honors the roots of the past as the very foundation upon which the institution stands firm and resolute. Amidst this narrative, the canvas stretches forward to encompass the horizon of the next 25 years. It is a canvas that beckons infinite possibilities, painting a future where the indomitable spirit of Kristu Jayanti College continues to radiate with an even more vibrant luminosity. The Carmelites of Mary Immaculate is an embodiment of the dream and vision of Saint Kuriakose Elias Chavra, a 19th century educationist and social reformer. Strengthened by a rich educational heritage, the CMI legacy and charism are the cornerstones upon which Kristu Jayanti College is built. The ingenuity of best practices and systems in education is ingrained in the very DNA of this institution. Reflecting on the chapters gone by, there exists a profound gratitude for the unwavering support that has sustained the institution for a quarter century. It is a gratitude that emanates from the core. With this sentiment of thankfulness, the future unfurls, illuminated by the anticipation of the continued presence of those who have believed in the mission of Kristu Jayanti College. At Kristu Jayanti College, the pursuit of academic excellence goes hand in hand with our commitment to global unity. We have embraced the world, transcending boundaries and enriching perspectives. Embracing our dedication to global partnership, we've woven a rich tapestry of cultures within our campus. Kristu Jayanti is an ever-evolving mosaic of talents and ideas, where students and faculty members from the college embark on transformative journeys to countries far and wide, sharing their unique experiences and aspirations with the world, while welcoming international peers to do the same on our campus. In the inspiring journey of Kristu Jayanti College, each milestone and achievement represents a testament to dedication, excellence, and unwavering commitment. It gained recognition as one of India's best colleges and consistently maintained its top 10 status in Bengaluru, according to the India Today Nielsen survey since 2010.
I'm very much grateful to all the people, past and present, for the exponential growth of this institution. Over the years, we could nurture a culture, develop a system and process, create resources both human and physical, and could implement certain unique practices. Our focus is more on inclusivity, skill-oriented and outcome-based education. Our ambitious plan is to take the college to the status of university, and I'm very much confident together we can achieve this great target.
Together we step forward, bearing the torch of this timeless legacy. Empowering visions, enriching lives.